In this episode of Plastic Makes Perfect, can a woman grow sexy with age? Or does sex appeal have a best before date?
There's no reason why older women can't be sexy. It's just a matter of how they carry themselves, their confidence.
Women have a very long shelf life, and there is no expiry date. I think the nice thing about cosmetic surgery, it allows you to adjust your own personal best before date, and that's really in the eye of the beholder.
We're living in a culture that worships the cult of youth and beauty, and for women to age, it's seen as a big taboo.
In our hidden camera test, young Becky goes undercover as a massage therapy student to offer busy shoppers a free 1-minute back rub. What we're testing is whether the appeal of a back rub will expire as Becky ages. Maureen knows a thing or two about age and wonders if a facelift could extend her best before date.
I'm in pretty good shape. I can probably do a lot more than a lot of teenagers can do. Oh, I'd love to date again. Sure, I'm looking forward to it.
We live in a media-driven culture where no one seems to be over the age of 29. Is it any wonder that over the last 5 years, the number of facial plastic surgery procedures and injections have increased by over 30%?
The media needs to just accept that women age. It's natural. Hold on a second, sweetie. I'm gonna need another injection here and one here. I still feel wrinkled.
Does a woman's appeal have a best before date?
I'm not sure we have a best before date, but I, by 10 p.m., am definitely spoiled.
Some women flame out at 26, some hit their stride in their 50s.
Of course, we don't have a best before date. We're people, not yogurt.
Rebecca Rosenblatt is a registered sex therapist. What does the research say? Does a woman's sex appeal have a best before date?
Studies show that women certainly do not have a best before date when it comes to their sexuality. But despite scientific evidence, society stereotypes older women as asexual. This myth is so pervasive that women who don't conform are seen as foolish, the punchline to a dirty joke. According to society's perception, women do seem to have a best before date.
Can we really be that shallow? In our hidden camera test, we're sending Becky undercover as a massage therapy student to find out for ourselves if women have a best before date.
1-minute massage, 1 minute.
Will the number of shoppers willing to sit for a free 1-minute back rub decrease when we add years to Becky's face?
Till one night?
At the age of 27, Becky's appeal seems to be fresh. Maureen wonders if a lift could freshen her face.
I've been thinking about getting a facelift for 30 years. I'm in pretty good shape. I can probably do a lot more than a lot of teenagers can do. I'd like to have the face look the same as the body. What bothers me is the neck part and the eyes need lifting.
I don't think she needs the help myself. I mean, she's beautiful the way she is.
Well, I feel 40. Even though I'm 60, why can't I feel sexy? Because I feel 40.
But if older women are seen as sexless or foolish, then why wouldn't Maureen want to shave off a decade or so?
I've been married 3 times. 3 strikes and you're out, eh? But I'm still looking for a companion. Never say die, eh? There's got to be somebody out there who's compatible. Definitely 60 can be sexy.
Board-certified plastic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Brown has been performing plastic surgery for over a decade. A facelift is major surgery, and Dr. Brown will not accept Maureen as a patient until a thorough examination convinces him that she's a good candidate. Could plastic surgery extend Maureen's best before date?
Would you like 1 minute?
In our hidden camera test, fresh-faced Becky works undercover to help us find out if women really have a best before date. Phase 1 is underway. In the first 30 minutes of our hidden camera test, 12 people accepted a back rub from young Becky.
Hey.
She even got a tip.
Thank you. Oh, no. No, you really don't have to. Okay. Thank you.
To ensure that Maureen is a good candidate for plastic surgery, Dr. Brown begins by examining Maureen's upper face.
If you look in the mirror, what you'll see, do you see how there's a little puffy area right here?
Absolutely.
And you see it again there?
Right.
And that's fat.
Oh.
And you wouldn't normally know it's there.
No.
But once we take the redundant skin away,
Right.
that fat will be very noticeable.
Oh.
So once we've removed this, we take that little bit of fat, and that just gives a nice smooth contour in that area. And that's part of doing the upper eyelid.
Right. That sounds good.
Now we move to the middle third of the face. So we have a nice cheekbone here, but we've got a kind of tired look up through here.
Right.
And that tired look is from excess fat that's sitting in your lower eyelid. People sometimes call those bags under my eyes. So what we'll do is we'll lift up the skin, expose that fat, and drape it into this area.
Okay.
And once we've done that, there'll be a little bit of redundant skin there, and we'll remove that skin and lift and elevate the lower eyelid a little bit. Okay? The number one signs of aging is loss of fatty volume in our face,
Right.
and a hollowness.
Right.
And so the way to treat that is through a facelift.
Right. I'm
And
sure
a
I would.
facelift is all about trying to create youth without it looking like a surgical procedure. And the number one way to avoid that is to avoid excessive tightening.
Right. Right. Which I want. I don't want to look like I've had a facelift. I want to look normal for 63. I just would like you say, all this tightened back to where it should be.
Right.
Yeah. That sounds
Okay.
wonderful. Yeah.
After a careful examination of Maureen's anatomy, Dr. Brown has determined she will require an upper and lower eye lift, a neck lift, and fat injections, in addition to a full facelift.
So how did it go yesterday?
Oh, well, went really, really well. He's such a nice doctor, Dr. Brown.
And what did he tell you?
Well, he said I'm a really good candidate for a facelift.
Uh-huh.
Maureen is a good candidate for the surgery, but must consider. Maureen is single and will need care during a month-long recovery. Maureen faces 5 to 6 hours under general anesthetic. Tammy is worried Maureen's expectations won't be met.
So what are all the risks that are involved?
Very minimal risk.
Maureen is unconcerned by the medical risks, but they are real.
Patients must be well informed. They need to know that it's not just all the good, that problems can occur.
Some possible complications that you must consider before having a facelift are neck deformity. The patient is left with an unnatural depression under the chin rather than a soft, curving neck. Poor wound healing. In 1 to 6% of patients leaves permanent scars. And in 0.5 to 2.6% of patients, nerve damage will leave permanent facial paralysis.
So it's a definite go. I'm going to call him today and finalize the operation. So
Excellent. I'm glad it's not me doing it, but if you're comfortable with it, then I'm okay with it. You'll never see me do it.
oh, never say never.
Never.
Hi there. Do you want a free back rub? Come on, Sears, let's sit down and do it. It might look like it, but it's not, man.
In our hidden camera test, we've sent Becky undercover to help us find out if women really have a best before date. Will the number of shoppers who stop for a back rub decrease when we add years to Becky's face? What are Rebecca Rosenblatt's expectations?
I predict that when Becky looks older, interest in back rubs is going to drop dramatically. A back rub has sexual connotations, but society expects women who look older to conform to the stereotype of being asexual. Passers-by will likely ignore Becky. They may even give her dirty looks.
Coming up on Plastic Makes Perfect. Will appealing free back rubs seem appalling when Becky seems old? And it's trading faces for Maureen as surgery day arrives.
I don't want my skin stretched back so far that I don't even know who I am. That's the concern.
Previously on Plastic Makes Perfect. In our hidden camera test, we've sent Becky undercover to find out if the number of shoppers willing to stop for a free 1-minute back rub will decrease when we add years to her face. What we're really testing is whether women grow sexy or sex less with age. And Maureen chooses plastic surgery to freshen her face.
So you're gonna go.
I'm gonna call him today and finalize the operation.
If you're comfortable with it, you know, then I'm okay with it.
90% of all facelift patients are women. Did they believe that they were facing a best before date?
Every year we spend $1 billion on transforming our faces. I'll have you know, in the last year, I have not contributed $1. Of course, I am single.
Would you get a facelift if you could extend your best before date?
The idea of general anesthetic freaks me out way too much for me to consider a facelift.
I would never get a facelift, but I would get a face transplant.
A facelift for women provides many, many benefits. Most women that I see between 40 and 60, they will say, I feel great, I feel youthful, I feel healthy, I feel fit. And I look in the mirror and I go, who is that? So the benefit is to bring, again, into harmony the external projection with the internal milieu of health and fitness.
Young women also have facelifts. In 2005, 900 patients were under the age of 35.
I'm 21. Adjusting my face to look more youthful would include surgically adding pimples, braces, and maybe softening my head.
I'm living in this society with this cultural pressure of being young eternally. And every time I look in the mirror and I see an extra wrinkle or I see a picture of myself from 20 years ago, I'm like, oh, could it be really that that's me?
Do women have a best before date? What will our hidden camera test tell us? In phase 1, 20 shoppers sat for a free back rub in 1 hour. Now for phase 2. Will reaction to Becky change when we age her face?
Like my mother told me, she said when I was about 45, all of a sudden there was a year where I realized that men stopped looking at you, that you just disappeared, that you were invisible.
Will an older Becky become invisible?
Do you have time for a back rub? No? Okay.
What are therapist Rebecca Rosenblatt's expectations?
I predict that when Becky looks older, interest in back rubs is going to plummet. Back rubs are seen as something sexual. Older women are not. Society expects older women to act in asexual ways. Few shoppers will stop for a back rub, even a free one.
So far, our expert seems to be correct.
Hello. Would you like to sit down for just a minute? Only 1 minute.
Old Becky's appeal may have reached its best before date. Maureen doesn't need the results of a test to know that she would like a younger appearance and is going ahead with her surgery.
Within our culture, women definitely disappear as they age. We're seen as undesirable. We're suddenly seen as very dependent, and we're certainly not seen as being sexual agents with our own kind of power.
Coming up on Plastic Makes Perfect. Will plastic surgery extend Maureen's best before date? And the results of our hidden camera test.
Would you like to sit down for a minute? No?
Previously on Plastic Makes Perfect. In our hidden camera test, we've sent Becky undercover to help us find out if women really have a best before date. Will the number of shoppers who stop for a back rub decrease when we add years to Becky's face? Maureen is about to face the surgery that will change her face forever. Over 100,000 North American women had facelifts in 2005.
The number of facelift operations being performed every year is dropping, but it's not because women are happy with aging. Instead, they're flocking to get fillers and non-surgical procedures done, like, polyfilla or caulking.
What has our hidden camera test told us? In phase 1 of our test, 20 shoppers stopped for a free 1-minute back rub. In phase 2, just 5 shoppers were willing to sit in old Becky's chair. Mostly, she was ignored.
As an older woman offering back rubs, There were some comments, like there were some young kids on the balcony going, "Oh God, that's really gross," that kind of thing. I think it's kind of sad that all of a sudden you just disappeared, that you were invisible. And I definitely felt that.
A back rub has sexual connotations, but society expects women who look older to act in asexual ways. Sadly, this test shows that these shoppers think women do have a best before date when it comes to offering back rubs.
An ugly truth about beauty. Could a facelift bring sexy back and get you a man?
Usually, you're not successful interpersonally because of interpersonal psychological issues. Work on your brain before your face. Work on your personality before your chin.
The society is propelling men to believe that older women do not have a sexuality. And if you are attracted to an older woman, somehow that's kind of along the lines of perverse or a fetish that you have.
Maureen's surgery is about to get underway.
Okay, let's do this. We're going to do some really important things now. We're going to do all the drawing and marking and planning before we go into the operating room.
Board-certified plastic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Brown marks Maureen's face with guidelines he'll use during her surgery.
I think we've either finished or we've run out of ink, one or the other.
I don't want to look like I've had a facelift. I don't want people to look at me and think my skin's stretched back so far that I don't even know who I am.
Maureen needs many procedures to achieve the facial rejuvenation she's looking for. Sagging skin is removed from Maureen's upper and lower eyelids. A facelift brings Maureen's jowl up to where it once was and redefines her jaw. An incision is made under Maureen's chin to remove excess fat and tighten her neck muscles. Fat from Maureen's stomach is used to fill her marionette lines. The goal is to lift but not over-tighten Maureen's face to avoid the telltale surprised appearance that she fears.
We'll be keeping Maureen here tonight so we can watch her very carefully ourselves. In terms of the aesthetic recovery, she'll have a pretty good sense of what things are going to look like by 6 weeks. But I won't feel like she's fully recovered from the procedure for at least 6 months.
Coming up on Plastic Makes Perfect. Will surgery really extend Maureen's best before date?
I'm sure it's going to attract a few male perspectives. She's bubbly now, but it's going to overflow, I'm afraid.
Previously on Plastic Makes Perfect. In our hidden camera test, we sent Becky undercover to help us find out if women have a best before date. Would the number of shoppers who would sit for a free 1-minute back rub decrease if we added years to Becky's face? The result, young Becky, 20. Old Becky, 5. The number of cosmetic surgery patients over 65 has tripled in recent years, making them the largest growing patient group according to age.
Less than 2% of the characters in primetime television are over 65, although they make up 13% of the population in real life. So I guess in Hollywood, wrinkles are kind of like fat people. They don't exist.
If women have a best before date, when is it?
Well, what age do we technically become a spinster? It's 1 day before that. That's the best before date.
It's definitely worse for women to age than men. For women, we have to maintain that young, so-called healthful appearance. Otherwise, we're not seen as desirable.
It's hard to really pin it down to a date, you know. I guess you could go with what's written on your ass. It's 1997.
Oh, nice to see you.
You too, you too.
Maureen has extended her best before date. And after a 6-week recovery from her facelift, she sees her surgeon for a checkup.
You feel pretty good. You're moving around and back to most normal things in your life without any difficulty. No pain, no discomfort.
Nothing at all.
Eyes are comfortable.
Yep.
Dr. Brown is certainly pleased with Maureen's results.
So usually I would say 6 months is when we'll see our true final, this is it result.
All right.
And so I want to have a good look at you at that point in time.
Well, if it gets any better than this, it's almost impossible.
Maureen's eyes no longer bag. And her neck is tight and smooth. What changes has Maureen seen in her life?
Well, the new sizzle in my social life is I'm out dancing all the time, a lot more than I was before. I've met a lot of new people, which is exciting. My surgery was absolutely worth it, absolutely. I'd do it again in a flash. I've had a couple of dates, but nothing has come of anything yet. Well, maybe I'm getting too picky in my old age, I don't know, in my young age.
Can a woman grow sexy with age? Or does sex appeal have a best before date?
Definitely 60 can be sexy. If everybody could feel like this, it'd be wonderful.